Let's go. Arkansas fans, we've got to address the Bobby Petrino rumors. I feel as if I am part of them because I said that with the way Bobby is calling plays, it is going to be hard to convince me and more neutral pundits out there that he does deserve this job, right? Or at the very least, you can't let him walk out the door. It is so hard in this current day and age to have a play caller as good as him at this level, scheming things wide open. The first touchdown of the game was a deep post to a fullback, and it worked. So for me, it was interesting. Brandon Marcello, who is super plugged into Arkansas, very close with Sam Pittman. I'll let you connect some dots there. Bobby Petrino, according to him, has been making some phone calls to see if he's in position to be the interim. If Arkansas does indeed move on from Sam Pittman during the season. So it is interesting as well when you look at this from Arkansas's vantage point. Last year, if you would have thunk that Sam Pittman got fired, you would think it would be Travis Williams taking over as the defensive coordinator, but T. Will's defense has been on a downward spiral since basically the Ole Miss game of last year, and now you're here, and the unit can't tackle. It's a bad defensive unit. So to me, I would roll with Bobby Petrino, see how the interim head coach thing works out. Um, and then, of course, if you don't want him to be the head coach, do you talk to whoever the new coach actually is and tell him, hey, we want to keep Bobby around as your offensive coordinator? That, of course, would work better if you were to go out and get a name like John Summerall at Tulane. And for whatever reason, this isn't inside info or anything like that. Obviously, there's always some chirps going around that next group of five coach taking an SEC job. For some reason, Summerall to Arkansas would make a lot of sense, but there's plenty of different names you could point to. But before we do move forward to an amazing week in the SEC, and before we get to our power rankings for this week, please hit that subscribe button, like all that good stuff. But you cannot bring Sam Pittman back next year. You just can't do it. It's too many close game losses. You would think the data would eventually show that your close game luck would start going into your favor. This is a Sam Pittman problem. The team is soft. They don't finish tackles. This is not a high IQ football team. Um, this special teams unit, I have no idea why Scott Fountain is still the coach of that unit. They have been terrible. It's not what cost him this past weekend during Memphis, but that's just another example of Arkansas not making enough changes. I am of the belief that Sam Pittman should no longer be the head coach at Arkansas, but I have been saying this for years now. I thought the Missouri game in Fayetteville, when your team had a mid game mutiny, you were going to make a change. But Arkansas, out of all the teams in the SEC, you are in the most depressing spot. You can't get over the hill in baseball. You'll see what happens in basketball. I thought the Bruce Pearl news was pretty big. Auburn's going to fall off a cliff with their new coach, who is just a nepotism hire, which is wild to me that Auburn agreed to do something that dumb. But that's a different story for a different day. And then, of course, the football program, the NIL isn't where it needs to be, as James points out right here. Um, and of course, as Leslie points out, he or she, I believe Leslie is a female. I think he will be gone after this Saturday. I do like Arkansas quite a bit versus Notre Dame. I do. I know that seems weird, but you had two lost teams going up against each other. The Lou Holtz Bowl. I have friends that played for Lou Holtz back in the early '80s at Arkansas, so I'm pretty pumped up to see this happen. I hope Lou will be in attendance. I doubt that's the case. He's pretty old, but I for some reason think Arkansas is going to win this game. It's been a wacky year in college football. Notre Dame, of course, only a 4.5 point favorite at this juncture. But, I just want to hammer this home that as much concern that you would have as Bobby Petrino as a leader of men, and of course, as bad as it would look for him to be the head coach again after everything that transpired many a moons ago, I think this is the best he has ever called plays. The first half versus Memphis was Mozart. It really was that good from a play caller, play sequencing perspective. Now, I understand that's Memphis's defense. And I moved on from my game analysis from this game. If you guys want me to do another film study on the Memphis collapse, I'll happily do it. I'd already started working on it, but I kind of don't want to do it because it's water under the bridge now. Okay. Now, another thing that I want to bring up, and I do think this is, yeah, I should have put this in the title of the video. The biggest news from today is the permanent rivals that are now on the schedule for every SEC team. And of course, we'll start with Arkansas. I saw a lot of people point out that Arkansas got screwed here. I would think the exact opposite. Yes, it would have been nice if Arkansas could have had Kentucky or Mississippi State or something like that. But you got Missouri. Missouri's not a top 5 program in the SEC. You also get Texas, which is what Arkansas fans wanted. Sam Pittman wanted it. Now, he probably won't be around for it. But Arkansas fans wanted Texas as an annual opponent because of the longstanding SWC days. And Arkansas fans wanted LSU. This is an LSU fan telling you that Arkansas fans wanted LSU. If anything, Arkansas fans wanted LSU way more than LSU fans wanted Arkansas. And I'll tell you this from an LSU perspective, as someone who, makes most of my money with LSU analysis. LSU fans were pissed. They wanted Alabama instead of Arkansas or Ole Miss or A&M. By far, they would have wanted Florida, which is arguably a better program than all three of these schools. Not now, but, for me, I don't think Arkansas got screwed. I don't get that narrative at all. I think this was a really, 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 really good break for Arkansas. Golden Boot keeps you relevant. That's a trophy game. Okay. We'll run through a few of these as well. Alabama getting Auburn, Tennessee, and Mississippi State is a good thing for Alabama. When this was being discussed, it was Nick Saban who drew a big kerfuffle about drawing LSU potentially as that third team to go along with Auburn and Tennessee. And the big gripe of the permanent rivals is that LSU and Alabama won't play each other every year. It's been the marquee game in the SEC outside of real rivalry weeks. But even including that, LSU Alabama has been the biggest game in college football every year from a ratings perspective. But that goes by the wayside. Missouri gets Arkansas, A&M, Oklahoma. That's about right. Missouri and Oklahoma has a long-standing rivalry back in those Chase Daniels days. But Missouri doesn't have a top rival. Their top rival is Kansas, and I'm glad that rivalry hopefully will be back. They should make each other a permanent rival the same way that Florida and Florida State and so on, South Carolina, Clemson, that needs to come back. Missouri, Kansas as an annual game. Oklahoma gets Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas. I want to shout out Oklahoma. The Sooners have actually moved ahead of Arkansas and Tennessee when it comes to my film study numbers. So I kind of think I need to start doing an Oklahoma show only. Oklahoma gets Missouri, Ole Miss, and Texas. Ole Miss seems out of place, but obviously Oklahoma had to have Texas. You get to Ole Miss, Mississippi State, LSU, and Oklahoma. About right. Auburn gets a huge break here with Vanderbilt, but you kind of had to do that. You had to give Auburn, historically the worst team, to go along with Georgia and Alabama, which is historically by far the two best teams in the SEC of recent memory. So I was fine with Auburn getting that as well. We move on here. Florida getting Georgia, South Carolina, and Kentucky. There is no bigger winner today than Florida. No one comes close to Florida winning this today, because every year you're going to get Georgia as a neutral, and every year knowing that you don't have to go on the road or at home versus South Carolina or Kentucky, that's going to be on your schedule every year. That is a big win for Florida. Big win. Now, the issue if you're Florida is that you still have to play Florida State in the non-conference. So there's more to it than just that. That's part of the South Carolina analysis as well. You still have to play Clemson every year. And even though Clemson is a down year, uh, you do get Georgia, Florida, and Kentucky. So there you go. Georgia, I also think, gets a small win here with South Carolina, but South Carolina in the Spurrier days was far more competitive with Georgia. But you get Auburn and Florida; those two teams are going to be on there. Tennessee also a big winner today, huge winner. You keep the third Saturday in October. You keep your annual rivalry with Vanderbilt, and then you get Kentucky here. Anybody that gets Kentucky is a winner. Kentucky is the lowest program that I am on for the near future. I don't care who they hire after Mark Stoops. The problem is there anyone else out there that would want this job? And can they even fire Mark Stoops, who gets Florida, Tennessee, and South Carolina? Texas is interesting. You get Texas A&M, you get Oklahoma, and then you get Arkansas. This seems like a win here for Texas. I don't know if this is a win. I really don't know, because part of this is Arkansas is going to play Texas harder than Texas plays Arkansas. That is going to be Arkansas' Super Bowl every year, along with LSU. So this is kind of tough, because you got to play three really amped up teams when they play you. A&M probably hates you more than you hate A&M. Oklahoma probably hates you more than you hate Oklahoma. And Arkansas definitely cares more about this game than you do. I'm not saying Texas doesn't care, but Oklahoma fans, as I've learned more about the fan base, they are so fed up with Texas being such a big name, even though over the past couple of decades, Texas has been a better program. Or excuse me, Oklahoma has been a better program. It's not even close. We move on. LSU. Big winners. Outside of Florida, LSU is the biggest winner in these permanents. Now, we really won't know the full context until we see what the other 6 games look like. Because to me, this is more of, instead of a permanent 3, this is more of a permanent 5.5, if that makes sense. And I'll explain this. Who your other 6 teams are also locked in for the next 4 years. They have to be. So while we are excited about knowing who the permanent 3 are, I am overjoyed that LSU Arkansas will remain a thing. It is the single most important thing to me in college football, the LSU Arkansas rivalry. It's that important. We all have different reasons as to why certain games mean more to us than maybe others. There's still LSU fans that are pissed off about losing Mississippi State as an annual team. Whatever the case may be, the way it's all scheduled out tomorrow is going to be even bigger. Texas A&M, this is a loss for them. Man, that's brutal. You get Texas and LSU every year. I think if there was a list of the top 5 programs in the SEC moving forward, Texas and LSU are probably on that. And Auburn got the same thing. They got arguably the top 2, Georgia and Alabama. We go to Mississippi State here, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Alabama. Big win for them. Big win. Getting Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. And then Vanderbilt gets Auburn, Tennessee, and State. That's a win for them as well. So those are my initial reactions. Auburn was always going to be in a tougher spot because they have to play Georgia every year and they have to play Alabama every year. Okay. Missouri should have been Ole Miss. I've seen that from a few Arkansas fans. I couldn't disagree more. Okay. This is why this was important. If you're going to say this should have been permanent, this should have been permanent. If you're going to say that, it needs to be beyond reasonable doubt that that game needs to be permanent. What history does Arkansas and Ole Miss have? Zero. Zero. Every time the game is in Fayetteville, it's a blowout. Every time the game is in Ole Miss, it's a thriller. Other than that, there really is no history to really write home about outside of the Hunter Henry flip. So it's hard for me to say this game matters. This game is needed because you also have to look at it from the Ole Miss perspective. What is needed on Ole Miss's schedule every year? Mississippi State. The Egg Bowl is the best rivalry in the SEC. Nothing comes close to that for me. That includes Alabama Auburn. And I won't get into that spiel again. So that is a must have. And then for the Ole Miss side of things, which is bigger for Ole Miss? Is it Arkansas or is it LSU? It's LSU. It's LSU. Now, the biggest reason why that's the case is because of the 50s. There's a lot of history between Ole Miss and LSU in the 50s. But that's good. That's good, right? Part of what makes the SEC great is that you have these old timers out here, that you have these rivalries that are connections from the past. That's why I was a big proponent of Arkansas, Texas, because Arkansas LSU wasn't a big deal in the 50s, but Arkansas, Texas was massive. It was absolutely massive in those SWC days. Now, I'm not an expert in that. My wife's uncle, who now has dementia, he's in a home in Alabama, but he's been a chancellor of a few P4 institutions, and he's close with a lot of the old timers. When I would visit him, when my wife and I started dating, he would talk about how much Arkansas, Texas meant to him. And you talk to any other old timer, they'll tell you the same thing. So if you're an Arkansas fan, you should be overjoyed by today. You should be. Okay. Now, we welcome in Charles. He says, I don't think Bobby P can be head coach, part of a contract clause. Oh, boy. Contract clause. Ooh. Outside of buyout money, which can also be finagled, contract clauses don't mean shit. They don't. There's no morals when it comes to who the next head coach is going to be. There is none. Here's the thing about head coaching rumors is that nothing is ever off limits. Nothing. And lips are sealed. So for Brandon Marcello to report what he reported yesterday, a reporter of that caliber, I mean, we're not talking about me, who's low on the totem pole. I am more of an opiner. We're talking about a legitimate reporter with heavy sources in Fayetteville. You think of the national reporters when it comes to Arkansas connections. George Schroeder is up there. He's retired or he's doing something else. And there's others out there that have major Arkansas sources. But Brandon Marcello is probably in that top 2 or 3 range. So he knows the agents. He knows actual people, boots on the ground at Arkansas. Someone wanted to get that out. Let's go to Woo Pig. And Woo Pig, I meant to text you yesterday. I would love to record the pod, or if you want me just to jump on. Drop us in the Conference USA. Ha, 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 says Woo Pig. And we wouldn't win that either. We can win in the SWAC. Yeah, you would win in the SWAC. Now, here's the thing. You do not want to be in the Conference USA. You don't. You don't want to be in the Sun Belt. I have a lot of friends that do Sun Belt coverage. It's depressing. Think about if you're a Sun Belt fan right now. Now, I understand Arkansas doesn't have resources. Someone mentioned that a little bit earlier. But think about right now if you were in the Sun Belt and you were a fan of ULM. Okay. Your best player is Missouri's best player. Arguably the best player in the SEC is Ahmad Hardy. Ahmad Hardy was given a chance by ULM, and he made the right move to move up. Think if you're Ferris State, the best quarterback in the SEC right now, Ferris State. And the funny thing about it is none of those schools have animosity towards those players. Ferris State's AD was like clapping back at people talking bad about Trinidad Chambliss. It was something like that. I don't remember. At least, yeah, of course, Arkansas's lost some good players, but at least you have a better chance of retaining your best players compared to the ULMs of the world. Keith? Yeah, I mean, you're right about that. Texas cares way more about Oklahoma and Texas A&M. I would never deny that. Yeah, Bobby would be relatively cheap compared to going to get someone else. He would be. I could see him saying, "Hey, give me this job and $7 million a year," which is cheap. Now, you can get him for like 4 or 5, then you're cooking. Okay, you're cooking. Now, I want to get into my latest SEC power rankings, and then we'll get back into a few more of your comments. Bam. This is how I see it. No change in the top 3. Oklahoma took care of business versus Auburn. Not really a surprise there. I did knock Auburn down a few slots. I'm not too fond of that. I still am really high on that team and Cam Coleman. I'm such a big Cam Coleman guy. But for me, this is how I see it. I kind of wanted to put LSU lower with the offense being the way that it is, but that defense of LSU is so damn good. You give Arkansas LSU's defense, you're a top 5 team in the country. You give Arkansas's Florida's defense. That's the thing. If you put number 13's offense with number 15's defense, you're probably number 1 on this list. But this is not a world of hypotheticals. I know Missouri fans aren't going to like where I put them number 10. But I do think the bottom 2 are pretty solidified here with Florida and Kentucky. Mississippi State, I think, is going to get blown out this weekend by Tennessee. I do think so. So, Vanderbilt at 9. I don't know how I feel about that. So, there are my latest power rankings. Let's go to PTS Dad. We can't tackle. The giveaway turnovers must stop. Okay, let's talk about Taylen Green. Because I did my Taylen Green film study, and I only did the first half reps. So I've not done a second half Taylen Green film study from the Memphis game. Now, why haven't I done it? Well, I just haven't gotten around to it. If I had time, I would have already done it. But I got all these other teams. I got NFL and then my LSU job. So let's talk about Taylor's interceptions. The first was not good. You're running 4 verts versus cover 3, and he missed the seam to the left side. Ball needs to be ripped. Then he made the cardinal sin of rolling out to the right and throwing the ball to a corner who was able to turn around and go make the pick. Second pick was bad too. It was really bad. There's no excuses for it. It was bad. So now what's next? Well, he's still playing really well. Zone read game is really good. Pull-out game. Tyreek Hill could learn something from Taylor Green's pull-out game. He might have to not pay as much child support. Oh, Tyreek or Antonio Cromartie or whoever. Taylor was really good. For me, he was really good this past weekend, and he continues to play at a high level. Mike Washington continues to play at a high level. Braylon Russell's looking good. The tight end room, Lucas who? Who's Lucas? I forgot who Lucas is. Offensive line's been good. Right tackle's a weakness, but you've been able to work around that. Then defensively, oh, boy. If you were Xavier Sori and you're about to watch me, I would tell you to turn off your laptop or throw your phone into Lake Hamilton. That was one of the worst linebacker performances I have ever seen. I really do mean it. Ever. Period. In just end of story. It was that bad. From the first quarter to the fourth quarter. Some of the worst of the worst linebacker play. And it was a whole room. Now, it's funny when you go look at the PFF grades, Bradley Shaw had a good game. But everyone else, 14, ugh. Here's the thing. One thing that will always hold back Arkansas, and this is a tough pill to swallow, and it's going to be even harder to swallow because I am back into the high school football industry in the state of Arkansas. I'm employed to do play-by-play to call Arkansas high school football games. I played high school football in Arkansas. I love Arkansas high school football. But there's not enough players that are needle movers for the flagship program. Now, there's a gazillion that go on to GACs and SWAC schools and have great careers. But we're talking about the big leagues. There's just not enough. Like, for instance, let's just say one of your elite players, okay, and I'm on record saying this about both of these individuals. I was not high on Courtney Crutchfield coming out of Pine Bluff, just looking at his high school tape and all of that. He's on a milk carton. He's nowhere to be found. I honestly don't know what the situation is, but he's nowhere to be found. And Charlie Collins is just not it. These were top 100 recruits. And they are playing for the flagship school. Nothing. You're not getting anything. It's so hard when you're getting nothing from your in-state guys. Because that's your advantage. You're the only show in town. It's tough. It is so hard. How do I know this? Well, I cover LSU. I mean, they have a huge advantage that the state of Louisiana is what it is, and kids are willing to take less to play for the home state school compared to hitting the open market. Now, some of them do, but, until that starts happening, you're going to be in a tough spot. You're going to be in a tough spot. Now, I like Carius Kern a lot. Well, he went to LSU. And I think he's going to be really good at LSU. But I it's hard, man. It's really hard to win these games. Um, it's really hard. T-Bass Factory says Bobby P is going to be head coach. Okay. Oh, it's Jack. It's a lock that you guys are beating Notre Dame. I went on a big show in Mississippi right before I came on here. My guy Jake Wimberly. I picked Arkansas to get the dub this weekend. I did. I hate the games at 11 a.m. though. So y'all are done with T. Will. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. You believe T. Will should be fired. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. It's rough. It's rough, man. It's rough. I will say, I do think it's hard for local media in Arkansas to understand some of the turmoil that might be happening behind the scenes. I have heard of disagreements with the T. Will and some of the other staffers, but it's been tough. You'll always have the Tennessee game. You'll always have the Tennessee game. But that was Nico. We know he sucks. Tennessee got a quarterback from Appalachian State, and they're back to Hendon Hooker stats. So, yeah, T. Will's had some good games. He's had some really good games. He's also gotten absolutely annihilated. But he recruits well. He works hard. He would also tell you, hey, where was the offensive pass interference call? What about the turnovers on that side of the ball? I want to talk a little bit about a few of Arkansas's upcoming opponents, one of which is indeed Tennessee. I want to show love to my Vols, baby. I say they're my Vols because, well, I love them. I love my Vols. Tennessee is the best ass kicking team in the SEC. If I need a coach to go out there and cover a big number, Josh Heupel is that guy. Now, why is that the case? Well, Josh Heupel, the offense is the offense. There's not a whole lot you really need to hide. They're so tough to stop that are just going to run all over you, regardless of what you're doing defensively. Joey Aguilar is a real deal. Their wide receivers are really good. You wouldn't think that they would be playing as high of a level as the group last year. Brew McCoy gone, no problem. Deontay Thornton gone, no problem. Squirrel White to the program, no problem. 14's been big for them. Mike Matthews, 4 has been big for them. God bless. I freaking love my Tennessee Vols, man. Rocky Top, you'll always be. I can't wait for Arkansas, Tennessee. And Arkansas, you get them after a bye. So this is my concern with that. Tennessee was coming off a bye last year, and they sleptwalked through Arkansas. And now Arkansas will get a bye before Tennessee. I'm really high on Tennessee. I shouldn't have ever doubted you guys. I had you as an 8-4, 9-3 team. I think Tennessee can get to 10. I do. I really, really like Tennessee this year. And could you imagine Jermon McCoy going back to Tennessee healthy? So this was a stat that got passed around that was discovered by yours truly. And by the way, I should mention, and I will mention, I mentioned it in the film study. Ask Austin about the film study. Talkin' Vols is one of the biggest SEC channels out there. They shouted me out during their live stream. Shout out to Talkin' Vols. They even want me to jump on their channel. They mentioned that. I would love to do that. I didn't know a whole lot about them before, and I tuned in one of their live streams because it popped up in my algorithm, and I commented, and they immediately shouted me out. I appreciate that as a solo creator in front of their big-ass audience. I didn't know one of the hosts was a coach and a film study guy as well. So he said, when I jump on there, we're going to be getting in a fight, a film study battle. Here's the funny thing about my film studies, whether it's Arkansas, Tennessee, or Oklahoma. I don't know more ball than a good chunk of you. I would like to think that. Some of you might think that. I really don't know a whole hell of a lot. Like, I just like doing them, and people like them. That is basically it. I love football. But I don't know. I don't know if I can get a film study battle. Is it like 8 Mile? Mom Spaghetti. I'm going to be coming in hot. He even held up a championship belt. But shout out to Talkin' Vols. And shout out to Tennessee. One thing I will say, though, is before this past week, Tennessee was on a record pace for plays per game defensively. 89 plays per game defensively is what they were averaging. Which, for those that don't know, that's a ridiculously high number. Normally, on a normal game, you're playing anywhere from 55 on the low end to 75 on the high end amount of plays. Tennessee was averaging 89, which is what? 2 extra drives per game? Oh, that's my girl right here. This is my girl right here. Cassie. Good to see you too, hon. I love it. You won't ever see you're not a southern woman unless you say hun. I love me some Cassie. Good to see you. My wife says that too, hun. I don't know if she wait, does she say hun? Yeah, she does say hun. Southern women, man, you can't beat it. By the way, speaking of which, I know I'm Mr. Football Analysis. I don't like getting into the personal lives of players. But did you see this earlier today? One of the best players in the SEC is Whit Weeks of LSU. One of the best LSU linebackers of all time is Whit Weeks of LSU. Him and Landry Kiffin, the daughter of Lane, hard launched that they are together. On Ole Miss week? Ole Miss week? Let's go. Let's go, baby. Shout out to Whit and Landry. True love at its finest. That is crazy. I'm a big Whit Weeks fan. He's probably my favorite SEC player this year. LSU has even used my voice in some Whit Weeks hype videos. That's crazy. I wonder if Landry Kiffin said, "Hey, hun, dude." It's just that has got to be up there in the Southern woman vernacular, hun, or baby. What's another Southern woman? Cassie, help me out here. Vernacular. Anyway, we got to talk about the best weekend in college football. And if you guys don't mind, I understand it's my channel, but I want to go on a little rant here. Just a little one. It's not a big one. It's a little one. And I know there's a joke to be made there. Oh, man. That's what I told her. I want you to take a look at this, and then we're going to get this thing bigger right here. I want you guys and gals to enjoy this. Enjoy this. Enjoy this as much as you can. This weekend in college football is better than any weekend we will have in college football in the foreseeable future. This is way better than the playoffs. This is way better than week one. This is peak college football this weekend. I work in the wedding industry. I DJ weddings during football season. Now, the money is too good sometimes. And I have to feed my dog. And as anyone that works in the wedding industry, they'll tell you everything it's very expensive. I don't charge a gazillion bucks. I'll DJ your wedding. Heck, I'll DJ your wedding in if you're in Alabama watching this, I'll drive to Alabama. I travel. But if you are getting married this weekend, don't. Call it off. For real, call it off. Tell Meemaw and Peepaw to come one day earlier. This is the best weekend you will see in college football. And why is it better than week one? Because in week one, you get a bunch of neutral site games. It's also week one. A lot of teams don't know what their teams are. And it's better than the college football playoff, which the playoff committee is a sham. The way we decide the playoffs in the minds of many is a sham. And by the way, even though week one of the college football playoff, the games are played on campus, they're blowouts. They're blowouts. This is how God intended college football to be played on college campuses. This weekend, all these games are being played on college campuses as God intended. And you might not believe in a higher power. You might not believe in a metaphysical being. But this weekend will have you believing. If you don't believe, which I hope you do, seek Jesus. But I don't care what faith you are when it comes to this channel. This will have you believing that there is something higher and greater than all of us. That's how big of a blessing this is on your screen. I want you to screenshot this so you can have a viewing guide for what's going to go down. The Lou Holtz Bowl that a lot of you care about is a morning kickoff game. Are you freaking kidding me? College football is erotic. I might need to go get a pillow to put on my lap. That's how excited I am about this game. Holy moly. And this weekend, are you kidding me? I don't care what anyone says. Auburn is a ranked team playing Texas A&M. My God. I don't believe I deserve this. So if you want to get married in the fall, go for it. I tell all my brides this. I do consultations for weddings as well, and I've gotten this question twice from a friend of mine that was getting married. Hey, should I get married during the fall, during football season? The answer is, if you want to, go for it. Go for it. But I would also tell you, if you do get married in the fall, everybody has their phones out if you're a football-loving family. Now, if you're not a football-loving family, you don't have to worry about it. But you have a cousin that probably is. Phones out at a wedding, dude, come on. It's going to happen. This weekend, oh my God, dude. Oh my goodness. I understand this is Power Hour SEC, but finally Penn State plays a team with a pulse. Finally. And we could see how fraudulent James Franklin is. And I should be cheering for James Franklin, my light-skinned brethren. He won't be able to get it done. He won't be able to get it done. I know it. I know it. Can't freaking wait. Can't freaking wait. Can't freaking wait. I don't understand. I want to punch myself in the face. Hollywood says Charles Huff at Southern Mississippi will be the first black coach for Arkansas in 2026. I would love that. Representation matters. I would love it. But is he the best option? Is he the best option? I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Caucasian, Malaysian, Smurf, ogre. It doesn't matter to me. But it also does matter. It would be nice. It would be nice. I'll be honest with you. I will say, as far as that is concerned, Charles Huff, I don't know how he's doing at Southern Miss. I really don't. He comes from the Saban tree. So he started his first big break was being the Alabama running backs coach. Then he goes to Southern, and then he goes to Marshall, has a ridiculous amount of success. Then he goes to Southern Miss. Here's what I would say about Charles Huff and just running back coaches in general. Oftentimes, running back coaches are disaster head coaches. Kent State, head coach, a running backs coach. They are beyond terrible. UCLA, Deshaun Foster, running backs coach, beyond failure. Okay, I won't say this name, but a man who many consider to be the best recruiter in the history of college football as an assistant coach went on to be head coaches at two different programs that have had some success. He didn't have one winning season. He was a running backs coach. So Charles Huff is like an exception. And would I be totally against that? I don't know. He's not on my top 5 list right now. He's just not. But sure, bring it on. Come on, Coach Huff. Can I DJ a funeral for our football program? I'd love to do that. I will say, though, I'm not Jazzy Jeff or anything like that. I'm a good wedding DJ. I don't know. I've DJ'd a few festivals. I DJ the last 2 seasons in front of 2 years in front of 5,000 people. The Armadillo Festival in Hamburg, Arkansas. I love doing it. I hope they have me back next year. It's one of my favorite annual events. Good people in Hamburg, Arkansas. If you've never been to Hamburg, Arkansas, you're not missing out on much. But you are. The Armadillo Festival is pretty epic. They're almost wins. Let's go to Brett. Sorry has to understand he is not a hockey player. It was so bad this weekend. And then, of course, you hear, well, he's hurt. I get so sick and tired of that excuse. I really, really, really do. They've used it for Arch Manning. They've used it for DJ Lagway, who's in a walking boot, which the writing is on the wall for what's about to happen. Don't play. If you're hurt, don't play. It's that simple. Don't play. What if Arkansas brought Brett Bielema back? How about some alliteration there? What if they did that? I wouldn't do that, by the way. Here's what we're going to do. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep the party moving. Now, here's a real stadium right here. Boom. That's a real stadium. We'll go back to Fayetteville, though. This was sent to me by my buddy Ashley, who, by the way, she tweeted this out earlier. She is celebrating 2 years sober. And that's not her. That's, crap, what's her name? She's a really good college football personality. I forgot her name. Anyway, that's an all-time costume right there. You can't really beat that. Love to see it. This is a healthy live stream. I appreciate each and every one of you. Okay? So this is from Woo Pig. I don't know if Oliver's still in the chat or not. Anyone dismissed for cause is not eligible for reemployment anywhere in the University of Arkansas system unless the UA system president approves an exception. Okay. Take that for what it's worth. Austin, that's where I am as well. I do think Tennessee blows the brakes off of Mississippi State. I really do think so. Y'all, we are living in, and this will be my final thing. Chris, welcome. Arkansas just didn't want to be associated with Missouri. I don't know why not. Okay. You guys know I love SEC football. But SEC basketball is so interesting right now. And SEC baseball is not as big as football or basketball, but SEC baseball is so much better than all the other conferences in baseball combined now. And then, of course, in SEC baseball, you have some real hatred and vitriol. I love SEC baseball. I really do. But dude, I don't think we're making a big enough deal about Auburn letting Bruce Pearl just allowing him to hire his son as a head coach. I don't care what Bruce Pearl has to say politically. They've let him say basically everything under the sun at this point. But to allow him to have free reign to say some of the things that he has said, and then allow him the freedom to place his son as a head coach is wild to me. It's absolutely wild. There's plenty of people that they, even this late and close to the season, that that would have loved to have come to be the new head coach. It is what it is at this point. But man, dude, I am perplexed, bamboozled, if you will. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you soon. It is Power Hour SEC. Boom. Tonight, we are doing some slam and salmon. Let's go. Let's